Okay, recording in progress. Good morning, everyone. So we are continuing. We nearly finished the second parak of Masechet Makkot. We're on Daf Yud Bet Amud Aleph near the bottom. We just started the Mishnah. Let's look at the Mishnah again. This Mishnah is talking about what happens if you have a tree. You have a tree that is at the edge of the Ir Miklat, really at the edge of the Tchum of the Ir Miklat, because we know the dinim of the Ir Miklat extend not just to the city itself, but towards its tchum. We discussed previously in the Gemara how a person is only allowed to live inside the actual city. However, the tchum as well would also give them protection. That's that extra 2,000 amma outside the city. So what happens if you have it now a tree where its trunk is inside the city and its branches, its trunk is outside the tchum, but its branches go into the tchum or vice versa. And that's what the Mishnah is discussing. From there, it's going to look at, we have some Mishnayot regarding Maser Sheni. We have a similar question where you have a tree that is on the edge of Yerushalayim, where you have a din of Maser Sheni, which can only be consumed within the city. What happens if you have a tree that's near the edge and the tree is outside or the branches are inside, or vice versa, and how that relates to this question of the Ir Miklat. So we're near the bottom of page Daf Yud Bet Amud Aleph. In the Mishnah says, Ilan, she'omed betoch hatchum, v'nofo notel chutz letchum, omed chutz letchum v'nofo notel betoch hatchum. So you have a tree that is standing inside the tchum, but its branches are extending to outside the tchum. Or you have a tree which is outside the tchum and its branches go inside. Everything goes after the branches. Meaning at this point we understand, and Rashi's understanding at this point of the Mishnah, is that even wherever the branches are, that is what we judge the ikar, that is what we judge the trunk of the tree to be, where even if the trunk of the tree is inside and the branches are outside, then it says if somebody standing on the tree is not inside the Ir Miklat. Look at Rashi. Rashi says, he says, afilu hu be'ikaro. Even if the person is standing on the trunk, which is inside the tchum of the city, it's as if he has left the and if the trunk is outside the tchum, and the branches go inside, and even the trunk is going to provide protection. So what you can see from this, if we learn the Mishnah this way, there is both a chumrah and a kula. Right, the chumrah would be that a person can be the rotzeach, can be by the trunk of the tree, but if the branches go outside, right, even though he's on the trunk of the tree, he's inside the tchum of the Ir Miklat, it's considered as if, no, he's not actually in the Ir Miklat anymore. Okay, that is the chumrah. The kula would be that if the trunk of the tree is outside the tchum, but because it has branches going inside, that if one is standing there, he could not be killed, even though he himself is outside the tchum of the Ir Miklat, he's on the tree. Okay, so that is the simple way of reading it. That is how Rashi understands at this point. We'll see it doesn't necessarily say that way. But says the Gemara now. So our Mishnah says that regarding the Ir Miklat, where you have this tree that starts one direction and goes the other way, that akol holech achar anof. Everything goes based on where the branches go, wherever the branches rest. Says the Gemara, Ramini. We find a contradiction. Because it says Ilan shehu amed. So here there is a bit of a change in the Gersa. We have the words betoch hapnim in brackets, but the Gra, you see there's a small gimel. The Vilna changes it. He says it should say bifnim. So he says Ilan shehu amed bifnim. You have a tree which is inside, v'notel achutz, and its branches go outside, or amed bachutz v'notel lifnim, or the other way around. Mikeneged hachoma v'lifnim kelifnim. Right, so whatever is corresponds to the walls, whatever is within the walls. Here we're talking about Yerushalayim. Excuse me. We're talking about Yerushalayim, and this is again for the din of Maser Sheni. Just a little bit of background. So we know that we have different trumot and masrot which are taken from from different forms of produce. Right, for trees, the cutoff date of the year is Tu B'Shvat, as we discussed last night. So you have truma, which is taken off and given to the Kohen. Then you have maaser, which is, again, from the Torah. There is no amount of truma. It can be a kol shu. Chamim gave amounts, how much one should give. Then you have maaser rishon, the first tithe, the first tenth, which is given to the Levi. And then, depending on which year in the cycle you're in, you either have maaser sheni or maaser ani. Of course, in the Shemitah year, there are no trumot and maaserot. But in year 1, 2, 4, and 5 of the cycle, we have maaser sheni, which is a second tithe, which is taken. In year 3 and 6, we have maaser ani, which is a second tithe, which is given to the poor. But in year 1, 2, 4, and 5, you have maaser sheni. Maaser sheni is a tenth that's not given away, but it has a special din that needs to be eaten b'kedusha inside Yerushalayim, inside the walls. Right? That is one option. If a person is unable to come to Yerushalayim, person is unable to bring their fruit there, or nowadays, in fact, where we cannot do this, so you would have to redeem. You would have to redeem the kedusha of the fruit, so to speak. You would take a special coin and you would transfer the kedusha of the fruits onto that coin, onto that money. And then the fruits can be eaten wherever you want. Then they become chud. However, the catch is as follows. The maaser sheni can only be eaten in Yerushalayim. If you are outside of this Yerushalayim ben HaChomot, between the walls, if you're outside of Yerushalayim, you cannot eat the maaser sheni. But if you want to redeem the maaser sheni, you want to do a pidyon, so that can only be done outside of Yerushalayim. Once those fruits have been brought inside within the walls, you can no longer do pidyon anymore. You have to therefore then eat them in kedusha and with all the dinim that are associated. So again, there is a chumrah and a kula in both directions now, which we'll see in terms of what you can do with maaser sheni. The chumrah is that once it's gone, the kula would be that if we're still outside the city, we could still redeem it. But once it's gone inside, then it can't be redeemed, and then it has to be eaten, and it can't be eaten outside either. So this Mishnah over here is talking about, it's very important to know what is considered within the walls, inside Yerushalayim, what is considered outside. So if we have the same case with the trees, we have ilan she'omed bifnim, v'notel hachutz, omed b'chutz v'notel lifnim, mikeneged hachoma v'lifnim kelifnim, mikeneged hachoma v'lachutz kelachutz. In other words, Mishnah does not differentiate between whether you're on the trunk or whether you're on the leaves or whether the branches, right? It just says wherever the tree is, if it's inside the walls, it's inside. If it's outside, it's outside. We don't play these games, so to speak, that we said in the Mishnah. So that seems to be a contradiction. Says Rashi, Elan she'omed bifnim b'Yerushalayim, inside Yerushalayim, le'inyan achilat maaser sheni b'Yerushalayim ishnuya, right? We're learning here about the dinim of eating maaser sheni within the walls. Mikeneged hachoma v'chule. Says Rashi, Amalo nofo shadinam betal ikal v'lo ikal betal nof. Since the Gemara says over here that you go that bit which is within the walls is as if it's inside, it is inside. So we don't say the branches go by the trunk or the trunk goes by the branches, etc. Continues the Gemara, 4 lines from the bottom at the end of the line. Halfway through, right? Maaser arei miklat karamit. Says the Gemara, what are you asking a question from Maaser to arei miklat? Our Mishnah over here is dealing with the dinim of arei miklat and avrotzeach. That Mishnah over there is talking about Maaser sheni. How can you compare one to the other? Maaser bechomat ala rachmana, arei miklat bedirat ala rachmana. Right? What's the difference? What depends on maaser depends on the walls of the city. That's what it says. You have to eat within Yerushalayim. Says Rashi, bechomat ala rachmana dichtiv lifnei Hashem elokecha tochlenu, that you'll eat it before Hashem. What does lifnei Hashem mean? That means within the walls inside the city. However, when it comes to Arei Miklat, then it's not about necessarily being in the city, but it's about the place which is where one would live. The Arei Miklat, b'dirat ala rachmana, depending on where one can live. Says Rashi, b'dirat ala rachmana dichtiv ki ba'im miklato yeshev. Right, the pasuk says he will dwell, he will sit, he will live in the Ir Miklat. The branches of the tree are more fitting than the trunk of the tree for to live on. One can live on the branches, one can live underneath the branches. etc. So therefore explains the Gemara, Benofor mitar le, bikaro lo mitar le. You can live by the branches, you cannot live by the trunk. So therefore, when it comes to Yer Miklat, everything goes by the branches of the tree and not by the trunk. Now, you could ask a question here. The Ritva does ask this question. He says, "Wait, we've just learned. You're telling me now the difference is between Yer Miklat and the din of Maaser is because by Yer Miklat we say everything goes by dira. Everything goes by where you can live, and you could live, I suppose, under the branches of the tree more than you could live by the trunk of the tree, and therefore, whichever part of the tree we're dealing with goes by the branches. But where are we talking about? We're talking about when it's at the edge of the tchum. Now we've already said." We saw there was a bit of a contradiction. We said that in the Yer Miklat itself, we understand you get klita. But in the tchum as well, you get klita. And the Gemara said, wait a minute, you aren't allowed to live in the tchum. You're only allowed to live in the city itself. And it said that was exactly the difference, that the klita applies for the tchum, but the dira does not apply for the tchum. So how can you now tell me that everything goes by dira when this is all inside the tchum, which is a place where the person is not allowed to live in the first place? So the Ritva says, no. When we say that it's fitting, we're talking about when we say it's fitting for dira, meaning in theory, if it's such a place where in reality the metziut is that one could live there, right? The fact that there's a din, the fact that there is a halacha that says you're not allowed to live there, that's already different. That's already something additional. But the fact that it's a place which could be a makom dira, that's what allows it. Okay, so that is the first tirutz of the Gemara, that we say that our Mishnah talks about Nov because it's talking about Yer Miklat and it's related to Dira. There, regarding Maaser Sheni, you can't compare it because there it's talking about what is within the city and what's not. Continues the Gemara. Okay, so you're not going to bring me a contradiction from Maaser to Yer Miklat. Now I'll bring you a contradiction between Maaser and Maaser. Says the Gemara, continues, Varami Maaser, 2 lines from the bottom. Rami Maaser the Tanya. It says the Tanya, it's actually Titnan because it's actually a Mishnah over here. It says Birushalayim Halecha Hanof, Ba'alei Miklat Halecha Hanof. So wait a minute. You said that regarding Arei Miklat you go by the Nof, but Yerushalayim we go depending on what's in the Choma. Here, this Mishnah, you see, it says that Yerushalayim, regarding Maaser Sheni, says Rashi, Lenyan Maaser Sheni, Halacha Hanof, you go by the branches of the tree as well, exactly the same as Yer Miklat. On Samarav Kahana Lokasha, Harab Yehuda, V'Harabanan. So says Rav Kahana, okay, no, you have to say that the first Mishnah, which we quoted from Maaser Sheni, is the opinion of Rabbanan. But this Mishnah that says everything goes Achar Nof, that is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Why? What does Rabbi Yehuda say? Titania, now over the Amud. Titania, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, B'me'ara holech achal pitcha, Be'ilan holech achal nofo. So says Rashi over here, Rabbi Yehuda, Le'inyan Maaser Amra Le'mirtei. Okay, this was said regarding the question of Maaser Sheni. He says, Alech achal pitcha. Says Rabbi Yehuda, if you have a cave, you go according to the entrance of the cave. If you have a tree, you go according to the branches of the tree. What does that mean? Rashi, kula bifnim, uptucha lachutz. So you're inside this cave, which is completely inside the city, but the entrance, the opening of the cave, uptucha lachutz, takes you outside. So then when you're inside, kilachutz kula, that is all as if even when one is inside the cave, it's as if one is outside because the entrance is outside the city. Or kula bachutz, if the entire thing is outside, and it opens up to the inside, then it's as if you're inside as well. And same thing he says regarding a tree. Ubraita Rabbi Yehuda, right? And therefore you would say that our Mishnah over here and this Braita already, this Mishnah also is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. And the previous Mishnah which we quoted regarding the tree, that is the opinion of Rabbanan. V'shnoya kama later. And we are rejecting the first answer, and we're giving a second answer. That the difference, there's no intrinsic difference between Arei Miklat and Maser Sheni. Just first there was the opinion of Chachamim, and now there is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, so now the Gemara question says, wait a minute. Is it really true? When Rabbi Yehuda comes here and he says that everything goes off to the north, is it really true that Rabbi Yehuda is saying the same thing regarding Maser Sheni and regarding the Miklat? Right? Says the Gemara, maybe it's not the case. Maybe Rabbi Yehuda was not saying that the tree goes exactly like its branches completely. Maybe he was only saying that l'chumra, not l'kula. And we'll see, the Gemara is going to explain, and Rashi will work it out for us, that regarding Maser Sheni, you could have the chumra in both directions, as we've already explained. But regarding the Miklat, it's very difficult to come up with a chumra in both directions. And therefore, this may not be enough to resolve the question we have. As follows. So if you have the tree, where the main part of the tree, the trunk, is outside the city, is outside Yerushalayim. We're now talking about Maser Sheni. And the branches go inside the city. So ki heichi de benofol or matzi palik, bi'ikaronami lo matzi palik. Again, we're going to say that we're going lechumra. In other words, if you're by the trunk of the tree is now outside Yerushalayim. So Rabbi Yehuda is not saying that if you are at the trunk of the tree, you can now eat your Maser Sheni, even though you're outside Yerushalayim, because we consider it that you're inside because of the branches. That would be l'kula. That's not what he's saying. What he's saying is l'chumra, as follows: that just like ki echi de benofo lo matzi parik, since the branches of the tree go inside, and those are inside Yerushalayim. So if you had the fruit by the branches of the tree, you could no longer parik, you could no longer redeem them, because we said once the fruit of Maser Sheni comes inside Yerushalayim, it now has to be eaten. It can't be redeemed. So so long as you have the fruit by the trunk of the tree, even though that's not actually in Yerushalayim yet, that is considered like it is, and you cannot redeem those fruits. That would be the chumrah in that direction. Okay, what about the other direction? Kihechi. So we said, kihechi de benofolo mati palik bikalonami la mati palik. Now the other case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down from the top. Ikalomi bifnim venofomi bachutz. Where you have the case whereby the trunk of the tree is inside, that's inside the city, and nofomi bachutz, and its branches go outside. So we're not that. So we say the whole thing is judged as if it's outside. So that's not to say that if you have the fruits by the trunk of the tree inside, that you could still redeem them. Right? No, we say for that we say l'chumra. The fruits have come inside; they've come inside. But the other chumra, the extra chumra, we would say is this: ki echi de benofo lo matzi achil belo b'diah. Just as since the branches are outside the city, and you could not be by the branches of the tree and eat the fruits of Maser Sheni without p'diah, without pidyon, because you are not in Yerushalayim yet. So b'ikaron nami lo matziachel b'lo p'diah. So too, if you are by the trunk of the tree, which is inside the walls, there as well, you cannot eat the fruits. You cannot eat the fruits of Maser Sheni, because that is as if you are outside the city. L'chumra. So we see in both directions there is a chumra over here, meaning wherever the tree, whether the trunk of the tree is inside the city and the branches are outside, or vice versa, wherever you are, we take the chumra, either the chumra of you cannot eat, even though you're actually in the city, you cannot eat the Maser Sheni. Or even though you're actually outside the city, you cannot redeem the Maser Sheni, because we judge it like the branches which are inside. That is a chumrah in both directions, but we do not say 100%. It says if you're not it's as if you're not inside Yerushalayim, or as if you are where the branches are. There's still going to be the chumrah both ways. Now the question is,
but the the point that was brought up before. In other words, if you have a cave where the entrance is outside the city, but the bulk of the cave is underneath the city, that's considered as if it's outside. Or the opposite, if it was inside, but stretched outside the city, it's still considered to be inside the city. Surely that, as far as the tree trunk is concerned, would be a similar thing.
Right. Yeah, it would be exactly the same. So initially, when the Gemara brought it, because as Rabbi Yehuda says that both regarding the me'ara and regarding the tree, we say the same thing. So initially, the Gemara understood that when Rabbi Yehuda says everything goes by the entrance or everything goes by the branches, it means everything. Now we're saying no, it doesn't mean everything. It means l'chumra. So in both cases, both the case of the tree and the case of the cave, we would say that this is just a din l'chumra and not l'kula. So all that's fine. So that is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. So that makes sense to say that regarding Maaser Sheni. But if we're now going to take that and extrapolate again to the din of Ir Miklat, and to say by Ir Miklat as well, we're only saying l'chumra. So now it's not so clear that Rabbi Yehuda's opinion makes sense over here. Why? Because there's only a chumra in one direction. Says the Gemara, Ela Gabe Arei Miklat. Right, so we've explained the case that the chumra is in both directions regarding Maaser Sheni. What about Arei Miklat? So Bishlama Ikaro Bachutz V'Nafo Bifnim. So it says the Gemara, I understand the case whereby the Ikar, where the tree trunk is outside, V'Nafo Bifnim, and the branches are inside the city. Okay, so we're now saying that you go by the branches l'chumra, that even if you're outside, even if you're outside, you consider it like you're still in the city. So Bishlamai Karob Bachutz V'Nofo Bifnim Ki Heichi De Benofo Lo Matse Katile, just like you would say that if he was by the branches of the tree, which are inside the Ir Miklat, he would not be allowed to kill him. The Goel Adam. Be'ikaro Nami Lo Matse Katile. So too, if the Rotzach is standing by the Ikar, by the tree trunk, which is actually outside the Tchum, nonetheless, we say the Goel Adam over there cannot kill him either. Ela Ikaro Bifnim V'Nofo Bachutz, right? What about the other case? The case where the tree is inside, but the branches are outside. So would you say, Ki Heichi De Benofo, just like if he was by the branches which are outside the tree, which are outside the tchum, matzikatil le, there the Goel Adam could kill the Rotzeach. So bikaronami matzikatil le. Are you going to say that if he is by the Ikar, he is by the tree trunk, which is actually inside the tchum, that there also he can kill him? Hakavaya, he's inside the city. So that would not be, if we're saying we just go by the Nofla Chumra, that case doesn't seem to make sense. That case where where you can't say that out of Chumra, meaning if the Rotzach is standing actually outside the city, he's standing by the Ikar of the tree, which is outside the Tchum of the Ir Miklat. But because the branches go into the Ir Miklat, we say the Chumra is that the Goel Adam is not allowed to kill him, even though he's not in the Ir Miklat, because we go by the branches of the tree. But if we say the other way around, whereby the branches of the tree go outside the city, go outside the Tchum, where he would be allowed to kill him, but now this Rotzach is actually standing inside the Tchum of the Ir Miklat itself, but he's by the Ikar of the tree. We can't say the Chumra is that the Goel Adam would still be allowed to kill him, even though he's in the Ir Miklat. That is going to be the difficulty. That is why the answer that over here, this is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, is not sufficient. Because if it's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, l'chumra, that only works for Maaser Sheni, that doesn't work for the Ir Miklat. Let's see the Rashi's over here. Again, he just really spells out the cases for us, which we've already seen. Rashi says, Beilan, that one we've seen already. Okay, Rashi on the left-hand side, just where the lines start getting a bit shorter. It says, Eimud Deshmatle, Klomar. Hechi bait leukma le'adetanya b'Yerushalayim alecha cha'anof k'Rabbi Yehuda. But the question is, how can we establish that this Braita, or this Mishnah, which says that in Yerushalayim we go by the branches of the tree, right? It said both, but Yerushalayim for Maaser Sheni and for Ir Miklat, that it's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. It says that would all be good and well. That would make sense if it had just said that in Yerushalayim for Maaser Sheni, we go by the Nof. V'lo tana b'arei miklat, and it had not taught such regarding the arei miklat, halach Nof. Then you could say, Matzit mukmat lak Rabbi Yehuda. Then you could say, okay, that Mishnah follows the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Again, that Mishnah doesn't tell us who the Tana is. Aval hashta man saitlach. But now that it includes both of them, who does it go by? That's which we've said. That which we've said for Rabbi Yehuda. That regarding Maaser, we go by whether the tree we go by the branches. Right? It says Rashi, Mishum de ikalamei malachumra. Because there we could say that we go lechumra, bein ikaro bifnim v'nafo b'chutz, bein ikaro b'chutz v'nafo bifnim. Right? Whether we say the trunk is outside and the branches are inside, or vice versa. The gabei maaser, because regarding maaser, ika ben bifnim ben b'chutz, chada lechumra, chada lekula. Right? Regarding maaser sheni, whether you are inside Yerushalayim or whether you are outside Yerushalayim, you will have a chumra in either direction. There will be one chumrah and one kula. Chomer bifnim b'chutz, meaning inside, being inside the walls of Yerushalayim is more chamor. Shebachutz yachol liftoto, bifnim eno yachol liftoto, because only outside can you do pidyon on the fruits, but not inside. The kaltilei mechitzot, because once it's gone inside and once the walls have accepted it, just like we say again, there's that word klita, which means it's been absorbed, right? Once it's been absorbed, once it's part of the city, that's it. You can't redeem it anymore. On the other hand, outside is more stringent than bifnim, because if you have not done pidyon, then you cannot eat outside. And inside you can. And therefore you could say, and therefore you could say that if it's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, he is going l'chumra, then we always follow the branches l'chumra, whatever that chumra is, because there is a chumra in both directions, right? And then continues Rashi, ikaro b'chutz v'nafo b'fnim alachacha anof le'inyan p'diya. We go by the branches regarding pidyon. We're about halfway down the page now in Rashi. Ikaro b'fnim v'nafo lachutz. The other case alachacha anof. You go by the branches when the branches are outside. Le'inyan achila, regarding eating. Right? This is all talking about Maaser Sheni. The mishte ikaro betar nofo, that we hold the trunk of the tree is like the branches. V'asur l'chlo b'ikaro, and therefore you can't eat by the trunk of the tree, even though you're actually inside the city, because they're being machmer for outside. Right? So he says ela im kem da'om mikodem shnechnas, unless he had redeemed it before he came in. So that was the case of Maaser Sheni, where we could say it goes by the north, whatever that means, whichever direction it is, because it's a chumrah. However, we said, and Rashi continues, ela barei miklat, regarding the question of ir miklat, al kochach, ikaro bifnim, v'nafo lachutz, lo mishkach ela ela lekula. In the case of the arei miklat, whereby the trunk of the tree is inside the city, inside the tchum, and the branches are outside, well, you only have, if you say that you're going by the branches, you can only say it lekula. Meaning, because the kula that you have outside the city is that he's allowed to get him, whereas inside the city he's not. But inside the city there's no chumrah versus in the other direction. Okay, so that is the difficulty. So Gemara said again, we started off, we said our Mishnah said that everything goes by the north. It goes by when you have the trunk of the tree and the branches of the tree, one inside the city, one outside the city. We go by the branches. And the tree trunk, it's irrelevant where it is. It's relevant where the branches are. That was our Mishnah. Then we said we have a contradiction on that, because we have a Mishnah in Maaser Sheni that says we don't go by the branches, we go by wherever it is. Terutz number one was you can't compare Maaser Sheni with Ir Miklat. By Ir Miklat, we go by Dira. We go by where you can live. By Maaser Sheni, we go by what's inside the walls of Yerushalayim. That was Terutz number one. Then said the Gemara, okay, but we have a contradiction within Maaser Sheni itself. We have a Mishnah that says that within Maaser Sheni, we go by the north. We go by the branches, just like in Yerushalayim, just like in Arei Miklat, we go by the branches. So therefore, the first Terutz falls out the window. So says the Gemara, okay, the answer is one is Rabbi Yehuda and one is Rabbanan. The one that says whether it's Maaser Sheni or it's Ir Miklat is following the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, and saying that we go inside the walls where it is, that is the opinion of Rabbanan. So then said the Gemara, the problem with that teirutz is that when Rabbi Yehuda said we go by the Nof, he doesn't necessarily mean to say that we go by the Nof completely. He means to say we do it l'chumra. And we can say it l'chumra regarding Maaser Sheni, but we can't do it regarding Ir Miklat. So that's where we are right now. So that's the question. So says the Gemara as follows: Amar Rava, Bikaro Tekule al malo pligi delo matzi katil delo matzil katil. Right. So just what Rava is answering now again is our question was that how can you have the how can you have, if you say that you go by the Nof L'chumra regarding the case of the Miklat, whereby the branches are outside the city, there's no way to say that it is L'chumra. So what exactly is the case? So Rava says like this. Our case is as follows. Be'ikaro right? If he is by the trunk, right? We're now saying where the trunk is inside the city. The ikaro is bifnim, and the branches are outside. So if he's by the trunk, the rotzeach, everybody agrees that the goel adam cannot kill him because he himself is standing in the city or inside the tchum of the city. Kai benofo v'yachol la'ogo b'chitzim uvitzulot. If he is standing by the Nof, right? In other words, who is standing by the Rotzeach is standing by the Nof, which is outside he's now outside the city. And the Goel Adam can come and he can kill him, he can shoot arrows or rocks at him, and that way he's going to kill him. Then everybody agrees there as well that he is allowed to, right? So these are the cases that nobody disputes. We have the tree, the trunk of the tree is inside the tchum of the Miklat. The branches of the tree are outside the tchum of the Miklat. So if the Rotzeach is standing by the tree itself, where he's inside the tchum, everybody agrees the Goel Adam cannot kill him. If he is standing outside by the branches, everybody agrees that the Goel Adam can kill him. Right? Why does it say specifically with arrows and things like that? The Ritva points out that if he comes up to him, he might push him inside the city, and then it starts to get complicated. But he's throwing an arrow from him he's aiming at him from outside. That is there's no dispute. What is going to be the machlaka? What is going to be the difference? Ki pligi b'meheve ikaro darga lenofo. Right? The dispute is, and who's the dispute going to be between? The dispute is going to be between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan. In other words, what Rava is saying now is we're not rejecting the second teretz, where we say one is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda and one is not. We accept that, but we have to explain what is the case over here and what is the case where it would be a chumrah. So the case is as follows. This is the case where Rabbi Yehuda would say we go by the Nof, and Rabbanan say we don't. That he's using the trunk of the tree as sort of as a step, sort of as a ladder to get up, he's climbing up there to get to the branches. Mar savar have ikaro darga lenofo, umar savar lo have ikaro darga lenofo. Meaning, one holds that we don't say the trunk is a step to the branches, and one says it is, one says it isn't. In other words, the trunk which is inside the Miklat, is the Goel Adam allowed to get up, climb up on the tree trunk in order to go and get a better aim, get a better way to kill the Rotzeach or not? Would we say that this in other words, if the Rotzeach himself is standing at the trunk, which is inside the city, then everybody agrees that he's inside the city. The question is, if the Goel Adam uses this trunk of the tree, uses that to climb up, do we then say, and to get a better aim and then kill him, do we then say that the Ikar goes after the Nof, right? That we judge it as a step for the Nof, for the branches of the tree, and therefore it says if he is outside the city, that would be Rabbi Yehuda's position, or do we say not? So let's see Rashi again. Rashi explains this further for us. Long Rashi that says, Amarava b'ikaro kule amalo pligi. Says Rashi over here, Leolam kedekam shaninan ha Rabbi Yehuda v'Rabbanan. Saying, yes, we don't reject the teretz that one is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda and one is of Rabbanan. We accept that. De Rabbanan lo shadinan la nof b'tari karo v'lo ikaro b'tar nof lo b'maseh v'lo b'arei miklat. That according to Rabbanan, we don't judge the branches by the trunk or the trunk by the branches, whether it's maseh, whether it's miklat. No, we don't do that. Just as we said originally, based on the other Mishnah in regarding Maaser Sheni, that if it's inside the walls, it's inside, and that's that. Rabbi Yehuda Palig, and Rabbi Yehuda argued, right? And he said, we go by the nof, we go by the branches, even if the trunk of the tree is somewhere else. Utekamad dilma lechumra kamar, and that which you said, well, maybe Rabbi Yehuda only said that lechumra, ananami lechumra amrinan la. So we say yes, it is. We are talking about lechumra. Lenyan maaser kedamran. So regarding maaser, we've explained what the chumra is. Ulenyan miklat. What's regarding your miklat? What's the chumra? Heichad ikaro. Now in the longer lines in Rashi. Heichad ikaro b'chutz v'nofo bifnim. Where the trunk of the tree is outside the miklat and the branches are inside, so then the chumra is, but the chumra is shadi ikaro b'tar nofo, right? That we say that the trunk goes like the branches, meaning that it's as if it's inside the city. The im rotzeach beikaro lo matzikatir, and in that case, right, that was easy. There, if the rotzeach is by the trunk of the tree, which is outside the tchum, the goel adam cannot kill him. V'hechad ikaro bifnim v'nofo b'chutz dekama b'Rabbi Yehuda alech achar hanof. Right, but what is the case now? What we're discussing, where the trunk of the tree is inside the tchum of the city, and the branches are outside. Right, where there as well, Rabbi Yehuda says you go by the branches. Lav lemishtei ikaro b'tar nofo ulamay madchiechi b'nofo matikatele beikaro nami matzilkat. Right, we're not saying therefore that just as by the branches you could he could kill him, and therefore if he is at the trunk of the tree, we say that he would even though he's inside the city he could kill him. No, that's not what we're saying. Since the trunk of the tree is actually inside the city, everyone agrees he cannot kill him there. And where the Rotzeach is standing by the branches, which is outside the Tchum, and the Goel Adam can stand outside the Tchum as well and kill him, everybody there agrees that he can kill him. Because everybody agrees, we don't judge the branches based on where the trunk is. However, so therefore, what is the argument? What is the dispute between Rabbi Yehuda and Chachamim? That which Rabbi Yehuda says, you go by the branches, whereby we're judging the trunk of the tree as a step to get up towards the branches. That the Goel Adam is actually going to go inside the tchum of the Miklat to get to reach the tree trunk. And he's going to go up via the trunk. And then he's going to kill him. He's going to kill him by the branches. This is what it's talking about. The kihach kula idlen Rabbi Yehuda daha lav ikar shadi b'tarnof ela kol chad kidekai. And over here in this case we are saying, right, that we don't judge the ikar based on its based on branches. Rather, each one of them you look at you look at individually. So, in other words, Rabbi Yehuda is therefore saying that Rabbi Yehuda is the one who says have ikaro da'ogalunofo. That says Rabbi Yehuda, if the Goel Adam was to get up, was to climb up onto the tree, and therefore go into the branches, and from there he's going to go and he's going to kill the he's going to kill the Goel Adam, that would be allowed, because we say we judge it like the branches. Whereas Rabbanan would say no. If he goes up from within the city, then he is he's within the Miklat, and that would not be allowed, and he would not be able to kill him in that way. Okay, I think that's complicated enough for today. We'll stop it there. Tomorrow we'll just finish off with the last teretz, move on to the next Mishnah, and maybe this week we will finish the parak.
Shkoch. Have a good day, everybody.
Great day, everyone.